Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News for Monday, August 11th, 2025. Stand up for your country. I'm a little teed off today. What are we to think of our fellow citizens who want President Trump to fail no matter what? Are they traitors, miscreants, misguided? Should we feel compassion for them? I don't. There comes a point where you want to do what's best for your country. Donald Trump's elected. Look, I knew from the jump that President Biden was incompetent. There was no question in my mind. And if you followed me, you knew that. And I always backed it up. Always. The man could not do the job. Period. And that's how he'll go down in history. There's no doubt about it. But I didn't want him to fail. I didn't want him to bring the country pain. And when rarely he did something good, and that was very rare in 4 years, I said it. Well, now we have the opposite. We're dealing with people who, no matter what happens, will hate Trump and deride whatever he does. And that makes me angry, and that's a Talking Points memo. All right, Putin, Friday, Alaska, meeting. This is a good thing. Even if nothing gets done and there isn't a possibility that psychopathic killer will just use this to grandstand, absolutely possible. No guarantees. But to get him into a meeting was something the Democrats weren't close to doing for 4 years. The EU couldn't do it. The Pope couldn't do it. And the Pope tried. Nobody could do it. And millions of people have been killed, wounded, or displaced. Trump did it. Okay? We all have that simple equation. All right. We don't have any details yet. The Trump advance team is in Alaska. I assume it's Anchorage, but I don't know. There's a big Air Force base out there, probably because of security where it's going to be. No, Putin's not going to be arrested on an international warrant. You know, I get plenty of letters on that. He's going to go. Trump and him will speak. We don't believe Zelensky will be there. Should he be there? Yes. But we have to live in the real world. There are conditions for bad Vlad to go anywhere. It would be better if Zelensky were there, but you can't force it. No one can do that. The EU, 27 countries. Can we have all 27 there? No. So there, I'm sorry, EU. I'm sure you'll be briefed. But this is one-on-one to try to get this horrible war tamped down. Okay. So enter the dishonest, irresponsible American press, which has destroyed itself. They've gotten karma. They're done. All of them are. Okay? CNN won't learn a lesson no matter how badly the ratings are. And they can't get any lower. They literally cannot go any lower. They booked John Bolton, former Trump national security advisor, who was fired by the president for being too bellicose. He wanted to attack and fight everybody, Bolton. Okay? Since that time, Bolton hates Trump. But CNN knows that, books him anyway. Roll the tape.
Well, it's very gracious of Putin to come to former Russian America for this summit. This is not quite as bad as Trump inviting the Taliban to Camp David to talk about the peace negotiations in Afghanistan, but it certainly reminds one of that. The only better place for Putin than Alaska would be if the summit were being held in Moscow. So the initial setup, I think, is a great victory for Putin. He's a rogue leader of a pariah state, and he's going to be welcomed into the United States.
All right, so that moron, and he is genuinely a moron, a self-serving moron, has no solution to this war at all. None. Zero. My staff, I told them, research that Bolton has ever put forth any solution at any time, and the answer is no, he has not. He's a gall to get on there. And that Caitlin woman, who I used to like, sits there like a mummy and doesn't say, well, what's your solution, Ambassador? Because she doesn't want to hear that. She just wants to bash Trump. That's it. What a waste of time. What corruption. I'll go up against Bolton. Hey, Ambassador, you're invited on anytime. Anytime. Me and you. You want to go? We'll go. Okay. So it's so staggering when you listen to this. Like, oh, you're welcoming him to American soil. Trump wants a meeting with the man. I don't care where it is. Do you care where it is? Do you? When thousands of people a day, including women and children, are being slaughtered, do you care where that meeting is? How about the Democratic Party? They have any solutions to Ukraine? I don't believe they did. Okay? Biden sent over, after I run the soundbite, I'll get the exact figure. But Putin wouldn't even take his calls. Okay? Meeting, forget it. Wouldn't get on the phone with him. So now the Democratic Party, of course, trying to undermine Trump. Here's Senator Kelly from Arizona. Go.
I hope we got something out of this. Putin is a war criminal. This is not a show of strength to allow him to fly into the United States, to land here to negotiate with our president. I don't know for certain. I don't know what was the ground rules that were set for this negotiation, but I would expect that this administration should have extracted something for this visit.
Extracted? Extracted? Your party, under Biden, sent $200 billion American dollars, $200 billion to Ukraine to defend themselves. Weren't even close to getting any kind of negotiation. Extracted? Like what? War criminal? Yeah, he is a war criminal, Putin. He is. So what? We got to stop the war, and he's the only one who can do it. Just him. Senator Kelly, put in a call, Kelly. I'll take him and Bolton side by side. Kelly's got nothing. Biden had nothing. Biden, in the run-up to Ukraine, got Putin on the phone twice. Putin gave him the middle finger twice. That was it. All right, just to remind you, what's at stake here? 79,000 Ukrainians dead. Okay? Civilians, that's just military. Casualties. 13,500 civilians, casualties. It's staggering. Let me correct that. In the military, Ukrainian military, about 300,000 dead or wounded. It's incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. 7 million people have fled Ukraine, left their homes, out of there. Extracted. These people are so irresponsible. I told you, Okay. We are on it. I have very good sources on this. All week I'll keep you up to speed on what's happening. And obviously we'll analyze it over the weekend in a very robust way, in a fair way, in a humane way. And that's the memo. If you are stressed about back taxes and maybe missed the April deadline, or your books are a mess, act now. Because the IRS is cracking down and penalties are up to 25% just for not filing. Tax Network USA has helped thousands of Americans lift that burden, and they can help you. whether you are an employee, small business owner, or haven't filed in years. They have seen it all and know exactly how to clean it up. Tax Network USA's expert negotiators have direct access to powerful IRS programs, and they know how to win. You'll get a free consultation, and if you qualify, they will help you reduce or eliminate what you owe. Plus, they'll protect you from wage garnishments and bank levies. So please don't wait. 800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/bill. That's tnusa.com/bill. Joining us now from South Carolina is the former acting chief of staff under President Trump from 2019 to 2020, Mick Mulvaney. You see him on News Nation. And he is the co-chair at Actum, A-C-T-U-M, a global consulting firm. So am I overdoing it here? Am I too agitated for my own good?
No, where to start? I'm with you on where the meeting is. And oh my goodness gracious, I can't believe he's coming to the United States. What did we extract? If you wanted the meeting to take place, Bill, it was going to take place in the United States, period, end of story. Why? Because it's really hard to move the president, especially on very short notice. If they were going to have this in Oslo, for example, it probably would have taken 6 weeks. Trump didn't want to wait 6 weeks. He wanted to meet as soon as he could possibly put together a meeting. That means it's going to be someplace in the U.S. Yes, there's a military base in Anchorage. I think it's attached to the airport there. Yeah. Believe it or not, a little piece of trivia. I think it's where we held the very first people that came back from Wuhan at the beginning of COVID on the layover back to Southern California. So it's a very
it's a transit stop. And it's also the place where Sarah Palin saw Russia, I think.
You can see her house from this place, which is fantastic.
A little tower there.
That going forward as well.
Okay, so
it's much ado about nothing on where the meeting is. The meeting is the story, not where the meeting is.
All of this is just garbage. So are they traitors? Are they miscreants? These people? Because I used 2 sound bites, Mick. I could have used 20. I have 20 sound bites.
Yeah, I don't know Kelly, so I won't opine on that. I know Bolton. Bolton would say anything to make President Trump look bad. I don't know what that makes him. I don't know if it makes him a traitor or a miscreant or just an idiot. I'm not really sure, but he really, really hates the president. Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And John
an
Bolton
emotional
is
malady.
Anybody.
All right, when I talk to President Trump about these things, he's very clear with me. And I'm a kind of judgmental guy. If I'm talking to you, even if it's off the record, I'm assessing what you know, what you don't know, and what the message is. What I get is that President Trump really understands that the only way this will be solved is to give Putin something. And I expect that to happen. Okay? Now, I didn't read the soundbite from Zelensky, who's basically saying, well, we're not going to give up anything. Well, you're going to have to give some. You're going to have to. If you want to stop the bloodshed in your country and hundreds of thousands of people being killed and maimed, you're going to have to give this villain Putin. It's not right. It's not fair. But that's what's going to have to happen. That's how I see it.
I don't remember anybody starting a war over Crimea. I know the Ukrainians were upset about it, but I don't even think they went to war over that. I know that we didn't. The Europeans didn't. I can't imagine Zelensky actually going on TV as he did this weekend and saying, look, all of Ukraine is Ukraine and there's no negotiating. That's wrong. Crimea is gone as part of any discussion here. That's the way it's going to be. And if the U.S., Russia, and the EU all want to stop this war, and the price of that is Donbass and Crimea, that's how it's going to end, because the Ukrainians cannot fight this battle by themselves.
And they can't fight it without the United States' arms. I mean, because now Trump is committed to sending arms over there. So what I expect to happen is there's going to be some land given to Russia. They'll occupy the land, and maybe they'll have a vote 2 years away, which will be a ridiculously corrupt thing. But then there'll be some guarantees from Putin that this will stop and he won't go further. That's the way I think it's, and that Ukraine won't join NATO. I think that's probably how it's going to
I'm not sure about Ukraine joining NATO, but if you want to look to something that Trump has done already that doesn't get the attention that it deserves, there is a de facto security guarantee already. It's that critical minerals deal that Trump cut, and he didn't get nearly enough credit for it.
Right.
Look, I'll criticize the guy if I have to from time to time. This was genius because it's a non-security guarantee, security guarantee. Because Trump knows that Russia is not going to invade Ukraine if Alcoa is pulling aluminum out of the ground there. So I thought that's genius, and I think it lays a foundation for what the next round might look for. No, I don't think Ukraine is going to NATO, but there's going to be some type of structure that guarantees their security, or at least that Russia doesn't go into Kiev.
Do you think the Trump arrangement is worse now than it was when you were in the White House in the first term?
Yeah, because they really don't know how he won again. They were able to convince themselves back in 2016, 17 that he pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. 2024, they don't have any idea what's going on because Donald Trump was the most well-known person in the world and still won the election, and they don't get it. There's a cognitive sort of dissonance between that. They don't understand a world where Donald Trump can become president. By the way, Democrats aren't the only one. I think, Mitt Romney never was able to grasp that. Mitt Romney was never able to accept how Donald Trump was president, and he wasn't. So it's not partisan. It's heavily Democrat, but it's not exclusively Democrat. No, it's a real thing. I see it every single day.
But to be fair, Donald Trump did attack Mitt Romney, the Bush family. And I understand the portraits in the White House of Bush the younger and elder have been moved into the janitor's closet someplace. And that brings me to my next question. If President Trump would just stay on the issues, which I think he is right on most of the time, and stop the bombast and the small ball, wouldn't it be better? Did you ever advise him, hey, let that go?
No. I mean, Bill, I don't know how old you are. You're a little bit older than I am, but not much. My guess is I'm not doing much to change your personality at this point in your life. You are who you are. There's an old saying that you cannot teach an old dog new tricks, and that's true. You were never going to change Donald Trump. He got where he was. I remember having a conversation one time about the campaign in 2020, and he wanted to do X. And I'm like, Mr. President, maybe Y is a really good idea. I'm not sure about X. He looks at me, he goes, how many campaigns have you won for president? Zero.
Right, he always does that.
Way.
But it's tactics. You see,
but they're his tactics, and they work.
Right, you just pointed out that the mineral deal in Ukraine didn't get the attention it deserved because something else not important overrode it. And that is, I believe that if Donald Trump gets the peace deal in Ukraine and sorts out the Chinese trade thing, which I'm involved with, I don't know how that happened, but I am, that he then propels himself into the top 10 presidents of all time. But he could go faster into that arena, and that really means a lot to him. If he would just stop some of the bombastic stuff that doesn't matter. Am I wrong?
Look, we're having a discussion about style, and I get it. A lot of folks don't like his style. His style works for him. And he may listen to you because, you've achieved a tremendous amount in your life and you're very successful. So he might listen to you, but he's not going to listen to very many people when it comes to changing his style. It's worked for him. He's been elected the president, twice. He thinks 3 times. So I don't think he's going to change. And
look, honestly, I don't know whether he won't or not, but I have talked to him a few times where he has modified. He's modified because I presented in a historical way. I don't want him to change his style. I think that his style has propelled him. I agree with him that he never would have been elected president either time, if he wasn't a populist bomb thrower, because that's what the country wants. They're tired of the Kellys and the Boltons and the guys who have no solutions to anything, just undermining and undercutting for partisan reasons. They hate that. And that's why Trump is successful, because he isn't a BSer. I would never tell him to change. I think he's wise in presenting himself in a flamboyant way. There are things he chooses to overlook. He overlooks a lot about Putin. When you read, and I'll send you my new book after this conversation, Confronting Evil, Putin's evil. But in order to get a deal, Trump's got to overlook it. He's got to overlook China, the worst police state in history. He's got to overlook it if he wants the best for America. Right?
Bill, I look at this as probably the single most significant couple of days in his 2 terms so far, and maybe the most significant in his terms when he's finished. He's done a masterful job. He knows how to play Macron. He knows how to play Keir Starmer. He knows how to play Washington, D.C. He's better at all of those folks when it comes to negotiating. I don't think he's figured out Putin yet. I think he really got elected going into office thinking Zelensky was the primary impediment to peace. Now I think he knows it's Vladimir Putin. I think he believes that Vladimir Putin doesn't necessarily want this war to end. He thought that he did, and he doesn't know how to deal with it. This is the biggest challenge I think he's going to face. And if he does it successfully and manages to negotiate an end to this war, I think you're absolutely right. It rockets him up the list of successes. How could it not? With the accomplishments that you go, what the style away? You don't get style points for being president. You get results points.
Yeah, you don't get results points from the American. Not from the American media.
Somebody else.
You're never going to get results points from the American media, not Trump. And I disagree with you on one very important thing, okay? I think he knows Putin now. I think you're right. He thought he could reason with Vlad because he did the first term, right? You were there. Yeah. He reasoned with Putin. Putin didn't do anything like he did under Biden. But I think that Trump now understands Putin not as well as I do, because I've spent a lot of time on this guy. Wait till you see what we came up with. But the only way to deal with Putin is through strength. And what Trump is likely to say to him in private, remember, this is not all going to be public, because Putin speaks English to Trump in private. He's going to say, look, Vlad, we'll get your deal here. You're not going to look like a schmuck. You'll get your little Donbass or whatever you want. But if you don't, I'm going to break you. I'm going to crush you. He's going to say that to him. Last word.
And here's my question. And this is I think this is the seminal issue of this. Does he have the credibility? Trump, is Putin looking at him as somebody who keeps changing a deadline, who draws red lines, and they can't stand up to him? We know what that did to Obama in Syria, but Trump has changed some deadlines here. He's
given him a lot of rope. There's no doubt about it. But Trump can shut down those banks.
And that's the issue. How do you reestablish that credibility? I think that's what the Trump team should be working on this week. Yeah, you can do it militarily, but that's awful ham-fisted and runs the risk of dramatic escalation. How do you get that credibility back quickly? And I think if they can do that, this could be hugely successful this week.
He doesn't need his team. He knows what to do.
Okay.
Trust me on that. All right, that was a great interview, Mick. And I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're really busy and everything, but thank you very much. America is more dangerous than ever. With violent crime on the rise, while you could rely on a firearm, using deadly force today can land you in court, costing you years and your life savings. Trying to prove you acted in self-defense. FBI data shows 99.9% of all altercations do not require lethal force. That's why smart Americans are turning to Byrna. Proudly made in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Byrna's less lethal self-defense launchers are trusted by law enforcement, private security, more than 600,000 citizens. Byrna launchers fire kinetic rounds and powerful tear gas or pepper projectiles, able to stop a threat up to 60 feet away. No background checks, no waiting periods, delivered right to your door. Take control, be ready. Visit Byrna.com today. That's BYRNA.com, or head to your local Sportsman's Warehouse. The American dream is changing. Forget the white picket fence. Today it's about getting out of debt. If rising prices and credit card bills are weighing you down, there is hope. Done with debt. They don't offer loans or push bankruptcy. Their expert negotiators go straight to your creditors, cutting what you owe, wiping out interest, eliminating penalties. They fight until your debt is gone. Most clients see more money in their pocket the first month. You've worked too hard to let debt win. With Done With Debt, freedom is possible. Please visit donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their experts, completely free. But some of their solutions are time sensitive, so don't wait. Please go to donewithdebt.com. Again, donewithdebt.com. Final thought of the day. So I'm a big baseball fan. Played 14 years consecutively. I played baseball right up until semi-pro. And I root for the Mets and the Yankees because I know people and own a team. And, you know, I'm probably one of the few that does that in New York. But both teams are really having a hard time. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now, the Mets in particular have lost 7 in a row. And they have lost 11 out of the last 12. The highest payroll. No, the Dodgers have the biggest payroll. And the Mets are second. Okay, $340 million of paying the players. They're not performing. They're not. What do? Now, the current manager is Mello. Okay. I'd be a little more heated. I'd be a little more Billy Martin myself. Say, hey, we know you're good players, but you got to do everything now. You have to. So you got to relight that fire. You know, life goes in streaks for everybody, not just sports teams. You go up, you're down, and the Mets and the Yankees are down, but you pull it together. Okay? You got to fight like Trump when he got shot in the ear. What has to happen? Boy, oh boy, you know, I turned on a TV set and I'm going, oh. Final thought, thanks for watching and listening to the No Spin News. I'm Bill O'Reilly. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.